You're listening to Blacksit Radio with on-air personalities in Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, and Tanzania. Playing smooth jazz, quiet storm, R&B, reggae, and the very best talk, 24/7.
Oh, like that, this is also like the only Caribbean kind of festival at sea. It's your opportunity to dive into almost the essence of who we are as a people, our music, our food. We actually bring on our own culinary team out of Trinidad.
Without further ado, let's welcome Jodi to the show. Jodi?
Hi. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Well, I had some questions that I wanted to ask you to start off. Maybe you could introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about where you are now in your life and, whatever else you want the audience to know.
Sure. So my name is Jodi Covington. I am an executive member of the Ubersoca Cruise team. I currently reside in Covington, Georgia. However, we're based out of Bermuda, which is where we launched USC, what we call it, back in 2015. I personally have 2 master's degrees, one in psychology and one in public relations and marketing. I own my own PR marketing firm. I also own a trucking company and a drop-berry cable company. I love to travel. I have 2 amazing daughters, Amin and Amelia, that are 18 and 14. Everyone always gets to me about my daughter's age because they say I look so young. But either way, that's a little bit of an introduction about me.
Okay. And speaking of travel, how much traveling have you done? You say you love to travel. Can you tell us a little bit about your travels, where you've been?
Sure.
What you like best and what you liked worst, too, about the different places that you've gone.
Sure. So I make it a point to go somewhere new every year for my birthday, but during the year, I'm always traveling for business and for fun. I think that travel is essential for me. It is how I function. So for me, I always have a bag packed. If I can turn my computer, you would see like 2 suitcases because I just did a 10-day. I went to Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Thomas, St. Lucia, and Puerto Rico in 10 days and did 2 to 3 days in each destination for work. There's a work travel, but I've also done a month in Asia with my boyfriend. We went to Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam.
Wow.
And Bangkok. So it's 5 different places. And obviously I've been to Mexico and all throughout the United States and Costa Rica several times and Panama and Spain and Italy, so I've been quite a few places. I just enjoy it. It's like a part of my ethos. I just love to travel.
So have you counted the number of countries that you've been in?
I actually keep a running list on my phone, and every time I go to a new one, I actually just keep a note. It's so funny. I bring it out when we talk about like countries that we've traveled to. I have like this list on my phone, and I keep
the calendar behind you. Are those all the places that you've been?
Yes, I actually pin.
Behind you?
Yeah, I actually pin.
Wow.
Pin them when I come back, and then I keep. I've been to, I guess I don't think this is a lot, but I've been to 30 different countries. It's 195, so I'm working my way up. I've been to 30. I probably need to update this. It's probably more like 35 now, or maybe 40 now because I also went to Qatar, went to Japan, and a couple different cities in Vietnam and stuff like that. So, but I keep a running list on my phone every time I go to a new place.
So which place was your favorite?
So far, I really, if you would have asked me this before I went to Bali, it probably would have been Costa Rica. But when I went to Bali, I feel like I found what I was missing there. I think that Bali has it. I think they're living life the right way. I feel like we're doing it wrong on this side of the world. And I just truly, like, Indonesia was something very special, very clean, very holistic about that particular destination. I just felt better. I wish I can just leave everything behind and just go and be there all the time. And I'm like singing its glories to everyone. And every time people's like, oh, I'm going through something, I'm like, go to Bali. I promise you, it just makes it out better. They're so beautiful, and they're so just grateful for life and for each other. Everything is like, I don't know, it's so beautiful there.
Well, that's wonderful, because we were going to go there once too. And I think it was when something had happened there, we weren't able to go, but we were really planning on going. And then since then, we haven't gone. So now that you're saying that, I'm going to put it back on my list, because my brother went there and he said the same thing. The same thing.
It's just something in the atmosphere that I just cannot put words to, but my biggest definition is that they are doing life the right way. Like, I realize I'm living wrong living over here.
So what was your least favorite place?
Oh gosh.
Some place you would never go back to and not recommend.
So for me, it was probably Vietnam. I did not like Vietnam. I think that it was cool to check it off of my list, but I wouldn't particularly go back, and I definitely wouldn't go back to Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, because they're like very large cities. I'm not a city girl, so it's like New York times 10, and it's so many people, it's so many cars, so many bikes, and it's very scary. And for me, like, obviously I'm Black, so traveling there was very unique. We actually went during a time when there was a lot of locals moving around and touring their own country, which I thought was cool. But a lot of people that are from the country areas in Vietnam, they don't see Black folks a lot. And even in the city, there's not very many of us there. So we were like, you know, the pictures and the aggression to take the photos. At one point in time, I literally would cover myself with my blanket when I sat in the airport, because people would just come right up to you. So I didn't enjoy that. I mean, some people enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy the amount of people and just being on display all the time. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But it was different in like Indonesia and Thailand and Bangkok and Singapore. It wasn't like that at all. But particularly in Vietnam, it was just like very in your face, you know. At one point in time, we were at like a buffet, and their norms are different from ours. So, you know, you typically wait your turn, you know, you dip and then you move to the next. Like, not them. They rush the buffet. They move you out the way. I had like a piece of chicken in my thing, and she took the chicken from my plate and put it in her, like, it was a mess. I was like, wow. I'm not bred for this.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, you know, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about actually are some of the projects that you're doing now, or maybe the big project that you're doing now that brought you to Blacks at Radio, and the reason that we're having this interview. And I will let you explain what you're doing and what it's all about and everything. So I'm just going to turn it over to you, and you can tell us all about it. I found it fascinating. So take it away.
Sure. So I am working on organizing the world's largest Caribbean festival at sea. We have been in existence since 2015, with our first sailing going out in 2016. We took about 1,800 people to Jamaica, and we do nonstop concerts and events and programming on the ship. So it's 24-hour programming. It is a Caribbean festival at sea. So we actually book over 70, 80 artists from around the world. Every single Caribbean island is represented. Everyone, mainly from around the world, comes on board this ship and has an amazing time. We actually delete all the ship programming. So if you've ever been on a cruise, this is not like that cruise. We go on, there's no regular ship programming, and we basically charter the entire ship, so it's just our group. From the food, we actually delete the ship menu and we create our own, and we bring on our own chef team that teaches the ship chef team how to cook for the Caribbean palate. So every day we're featuring new dishes from around the Caribbean. So you're going to go in there and get roti from Trinidad, and rice and peas, or peas and rice, and callaloo, and all these great Caribbean dishes from around the world. Like, so that's every single day.
Well, tell them first the name of The
Sure.
name, yeah.
Sure. So the name of this cruise ship is called Ubersoca Cruise.
And
And
how did you
again,
come up with the name, by the way?
so I
I'm curious.
didn't. The owner, his name is Nathaniel Turner. He came up with the name, which Uber means super. So it's kind of like Super Soca. And for those that don't know what soca is a genre of music. It's the music of the Caribbean. So you have reggae, which is really the music of Jamaica, but the rest of the Caribbean islands, we like to listen to soca music, which is a derivative of Indian and African music that came from calypso. So calypso was very political music in the Caribbean, where they talked a lot about what was happening in the community and political wise, and how to communicate some of the community woes. And soca music is almost the polar opposite. Soca music is about living life, living freely, having fun, enjoying festivals, enjoying carnival, and that's it. Like, we don't have any music about killing or sad stuff, or like there's nothing there's no music in the soca genre that speaks to that. Most of the music speaks to how beautiful our people are, how great our food is, enjoying carnival's coming around, enjoying a fete, which is a party, and so it's very like upbeat, fun music. It's where your vibe, your energy is very high.
Are you from the
So
Caribbean, by the
I'm
way?
actually from Bermuda,
Bermuda.
which is a small island in the Atlantic. We're not technically within the Caribbean, or a member of the CARICOM, but we have a very Caribbean influence. So there's a lot of Caribbeans in Bermuda, that came over, and obviously the Africans that came over too. So we were all kind of dropped off on the little islands, and my line just happened to be dropped off in Bermuda. So
So
yeah, so
from
that's
what? Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, so that's about like the music in general. For those that have been to Trinidad for Carnival, or Barbados for Carnival, or Notting Hill for Carnival, we basically are a carnival experience at sea. But we infuse not just the party elements or the music of Carnival, but the culture and the history, and community of Carnival. So it's a very like one island feel, where like Trinidad Carnival is going to obviously be focused on Trinidad and Trinidadian music and food, but Ubersoca Cruise, we are focused on all Caribbean islands. So in one central location, you're going to get Barbados and Bermuda and St. Croix and St. Vincent and Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago and Barbuda and Antigua. You're going to get it all in one central location.
So now, do you actually have like a carnival like on the ship? Like each
We
one of
do.
the cruises that you do? So are you picking an island, say Barbados or something, and on one particular cruise, you're going to focus on that one? How does that work? Because you're going to different islands. So do you just pick like one day, and that's going to be the day that you're going to do the festival on
Right.
the ship, or
So
how does that work?
Right. So the excellent question. So the cruise, we do about 54 events while we're on that ship. So day and night, and each day and each night there are different themes, and different associations. So it's not like it's like we just pick one island and focus on one island, unless that island, we actually have islands that sponsor a day. So let's say Barbados sponsors a day, or for example, St. Martin, or USVI, they're our destination sponsor for this year. So they'll have a specific day on the cruise that we'll be focusing on the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. There'll be a specific day where we focus and highlight their food, their culture, cultural dancers, tourism related things. Their artists will be on main stage. So that'll be a specific day. We do have, because in April, we have 3 sailings going out next year, 1 in April and 2 in November. The first one in April actually leaves from Puerto Rico and sails to St. Thomas, St. Lucia, and St. Martin. And so each destination will have a specific event as well. So in one destination will do a carnival with the beautiful feathers and costumes. Another destination will host a juve, which a juve is a kind of a paint and powder kind of party, but it's rooted in African history, where it means from dusk to dawn. And it was a time when slave owners allowed different tribes to come together and to meet and to celebrate and to, get to know each other from the different tribes, or the different plantations rather, around that specific area. So they call that a Juve. And so we celebrate Juve a little differently nowadays, but it represents that. And then another destination, we're doing a raft up, which is where you kind of line up all the boats and you raft them up all together, and there's a stage in the water. The concert's really in the water. That's going to be in St. Martin, so everybody's in the water with their floaties, enjoying a concert event, basically in the water. So we have 54 events. We have 4 destinations that we'll be porting to, and in each one of those destinations there'll be events as well.
Okay, so now you have so on the cruise, you have events on the cruise, like regular cruise lines have like nightly and daily events. And then when you go to the ports of call, then there are events that are being held out off the ship, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what I thought was really fascinating too is like you don't really just have your own one cruise line.
No.
Right?
No.
So tell them a little bit about the different boats that you use and different ships.
Yeah, so in April, we are on the Norwegian Epic, which is a really large ship. It holds about 4,800 people at full capacity. And in November, we're on the Royal Caribbean Explorer of the Seas. And so we've used Carnival, Norwegian, and Royal. We've had 6 sailings since our inception. And so next year we'll be actually adding 4 additional sailings to our lineup, because we actually recently released an Uber Afro cruise as well, which will be next year as well. So you have your soca music, and then we're kind of also doing an Afro beats theme cruise as well. So we have a few different products lined up so people can really take their pick. But the soca music, the Caribbean side of it, is first one's going out in April, and then we have 2 that's going out back to back in November as well.
So how did the guy that you said came up with this idea? Do you know how he, what was the impetus of his coming up with such a great idea?
Yeah, so the story goes, he was on a cruise ship with his family over 20 years ago, and he just said it was so boring. He said there was barely any people that looked like him on the ship, and he hated it. He thought it was a boring experience, but he thought it was very cool that all these people can get on this big boat. And he's like, nobody knew each other, and it was just like his little family thing. And he, either way, he kind of set on the idea of doing his own cruise for over 20 years. He was a lawyer in Bermuda, and eventually he just, said, I'm gonna just go for this idea. He literally started calling and asking, like, can we rent a cruise ship? He didn't even know that people could do this,
Right.
So he found out that you can actually just charter a cruise ship. And so he ended up emptying out his life savings and putting this idea to work. He linked with a gentleman by the name of Daniel Reese in Bermuda, who did Soca themed events in Bermuda. And he gave Daniel the idea. And so him and Daniel started working on it. And then Daniel introduced him to me from the marketing component. And they both came to my office and said, we have this idea and we want you to help with it. And at first I thought it was a joke, because I wasn't aware that you can actually charter a cruise ship as well.
Right.
But they were not joking. They were very serious. And we got started. We started in 2015, and we worked for a year to not only build this brand but also sell at the same time. And we were 3 Bermudians. We're not from Trinidad, which is the mecca of soca music. Right. That's where it originated. So we had a lot of hurdles to get over. The fact that people didn't know who we were. We were in a new space in terms of this genre of music. No one in this industry has ever done a cruise ship before. So a lot of people thought it was a joke, it wasn't serious. But we pushed through, and we accomplished our goals, and we had enough people, and we created such an amazing experience. The impressions, the videos, everything that came out of that first experience were enough to sell us out in our second year. And we've had now 6 great experiences. And by year 3, we actually added a second ship because we were selling out so quickly that we actually increased and sold out our 2 ships. So we now have, we've been increasingly growing over the years. And I think that's a testament to the power of not just the music, but the unity that people experience on board. Mm-hmm. It's typically like the USC family. So even when you get a new artist or someone that comes on board and they leave a video, they're always like, I'm a part of the USC family, because we really have worked hard to create that family approach. So when you get on the ship, it's a big reunion. People are excited to be there. And then all of the artists and DJs from around the world. In this genre of music, it's heavy with gigs. For them to make a living, they have to be performing. So they're performing hundreds of times a year. And so Ubersoca Cruise is the one time a year that they are on that ship for 10 days together. So it's like the industry is on that ship. So we actually build a studio. So you find a lot of these artists that are creating music on the ship. They're creating music videos, they're collaborating, they're writing together. They're relaxing and enjoying each other, and they're getting to know their fans and the community in such an intimate way. And it's really created an environment that people truly enjoy, not just, I'm going to go see this artist on stage and then I never get to see them. It's like, oh, I can see them on stage, but they're also standing in the crowd with me. They're in the dining room having breakfast with me. We're walking down the hallway. They're in the elevator with me this morning. So I'm able to get my pictures and really connect with them on a deeper level. So I think what we've created is it supersedes the music, and our tagline is an experience beyond the music. I really feel like it's a Caribbean experience that people gravitate to and connect with in a way that they haven't been able to do it in the past, just because there's so many islands, so many representation on that ship at one time. Right. And that is very, very rare.
Right. Now you said the cruise, there's a cruise going out in April. And how many days is it?
So we leave April 9th through the 14th. So 5 full days. We leave out of Puerto Rico and sail to St. Lucia, St. Martin, and St. Thomas. St. Thomas being the final destination port. And that will have over 70 artists and DJs from around the world as well.
Wow. And so how soon do people need to make reservations for the different cruises? Like, for instance, in April, do you sell out? I mean, are you going to just book all the way up till the day, or is there like a deadline that people have to meet in order to be able to, be booked on that particular cruise? Or how does that?
So we're currently selling all of our cruises, and we actually sell to the day we leave. So we've had situations where people have come to the port and have paid cash to get on board, and it's just so bizarre to me. They come to the port without knowing if they're going to get on the boat, but they pay and get on the boat. If we have availability, we do try and see if we can fit them on. But it depends on if people want to do payment plans, because we do have payment plans. And if you are on a payment plan, the cutoff would be I think it's like 20 days before sailing. So the cutoff date for our April sailing will be sometime in March. If you're not doing a payment plan, you can book and pay anytime pending availability. Traditionally, pre-COVID, we sold out our 2020 ships in 3 days, and that was over 8,500 people. Obviously, COVID has unfortunately given us a bit of a gap between sailings. So we've recently launched our April sailing, and that is selling now. So if people do want to get on board, I suggest reach out, talk with our support team, get the information that you need to get, and go ahead and put down the deposit and lock in your cabin, and then you can either make payments over time or you can just pay it off in full.
Okay. And for the 2 ones that you have in November, do you already have the list of the ports of call for those?
Sure. Yeah. So
tell us what those are.
Yes, so we will be departing from Miami in
Oh,
November.
Miami,
Our
okay.
November sales will be departing from Miami, and we're going to Roatan, Honduras, and we're going to a second destination that we have not released yet. It's a surprise destination
Oh,
that we
okay.
hope to release in the next couple weeks here.
Yeah.
And those are back-to-back sales, so those will be the exact same. So in essence, we'll take out 4,000 people on November the 11th. We'll bring them back on the 16th, and then we'll pick up another 4,000 people and do the same route with the second 4,000 people. So
Wow.
that one is departing out of Miami.
That's wonderful. Now, in order to make reservations, do people go online? Do they go to your website to make the reservations, or how do reservations work?
Yep, everything is done through our website, ubersocacruise.com. They can go online, they can check out the pricing, look at everything that's included, which we are an all-inclusive experience. So your alcohol, your food, your drinks, all of your events, all of the parties, everything is included in that one package. And they can go online and just book it. We also have a call center that's open 8 hours every day, except for Saturdays and Sundays, that you can call and get an agent on the phone to kind of help guide you through that process as well.
Okay, and I'm assuming since it's on a ship that you have, so people were going to have different options for their staterooms. So
Correct.
your actual pricing is going to vary depending on, basically, since it's all inclusive. Basically, it's going to be based on the stateroom that you select.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Can you give us a little bit of idea, maybe what the starting price might be?
Right. So for our what we call our inner Socas, which is more the interior rooms, it starts at about $1,882 per person, and that kind of goes up from there. 1882,
okay.
like 1896, 1900. You know what I'm saying? Kind of goes up from there based on the stateroom that you select and how many people are in the room.
Wow. Well, sounds totally exciting to me, and like something that has not been done before, and would be an excellent thing for Black people. Specifically because we used to cruise quite a bit, and
yeah,
that's
it
all I
always
have to say
misses the
about
mark.
that.
It always misses the mark for us.
Right.
And we always say, like, this is a cruise that really is created for us, and it's by us for us.
Right.
Because every little element that you can think of, we've thought about. We have we inventory and survey our passengers to make sure that we are improving. But from the food to the entertaining to the visuals to the branding, we have branding capabilities for the entire ship. So when you walk on that ship, you're walking on Ubersoca Cruise. The elevators are branded, everything is branded, the customer service is there, the VIP treatment is there. We know we like to be treated well, so it's definitely a very unique Black Caribbean experience. And for people that are not from the Caribbean, this is the perfect opportunity to get to know the Caribbean experience in a more intimate way, because you are going to be immersed into so many different countries at one time. And I was just in St. Thomas 2 days ago, and I was speaking with the minister of tourism there. What makes it so interesting is that, you know, in America per se, our first, vision of Black leadership at the highest level was Barack Obama. Well, I grew up in the islands, and I've always seen Black leadership. We've always had Black premiers. We've had several women premiers. Like, this is a norm for us, and even in St. Thomas, their governor their governor is a Black male, their premier is Black. Everyone. So Black leadership within the Caribbean islands is the norm for people to see. And it's really, really fascinating to get on that ship and see what we've been able to accomplish and do, and how we've been able to bring so many people together. Because you're getting on that ship, we have governors and governments, we have ministers of tourism and bankers and lawyers and doctors, that some really, really amazing people that are coming on to come together and have a good time, let their hair down and have a good time.
Wow, that's excellent. Sounds really exciting. And speaking of the music, I always ask my guests when they come on if they can share some music from, where they're from or their homeland or whatever. So I asked you if you could maybe share some soca music with us for those people who are not familiar with it. And I think you've sent me a list of a few. And so maybe you could tell me a little bit or tell us a little bit about these different artists and the songs that you chose. I think the first one is it Kez the band?
Cast the band.
That's the band. And the song
Cast,
is
what song did I put down on that list?
Liki Tiki.
Liki Tiki. So Cast the Band is a band that's based out of Trinidad. He's one of the top. It's actually him and his brothers and a few other band members. They perform everywhere around the world. They produce what we call groovy soca music. Soca music has a few different derivatives from it, right? You have your power soca, and that's going to be like your hard, quick stuff. Groovy soca is going to be your groovy. You're going to hear it in a minute when you play it. And Cass, they have really represented Trinidad and Tobago in a major way globally. Their music is very tasteful. The accents are not as thick, so you can understand it a bit better. Liki Tiki was interesting because it came from, I heard him tell this story, and he's been on our ship several times, and he's saying that Liki Tiki, he was trying to describe how some of their beats sound. And so it's funny because he said that the only way he could describe it is like pulling out a bottle and doing this, trying to describe the beat. And he was like, it's like a Liki Tiki, and that's where the name of the song came from, because he was trying to describe the beat that they play in Trinidad. So that song has really taken off. It's done very, very well. He has another one called Hello, which is another very cool song that people have changed and said hello in their own languages as well. I think I also included Kerman, which is a very close personal friend of mine. He has done some fantastic soca music and is also out of Trinidad. Nyla Blackman, Nyla is a fascinating artist. Her grandfather is coined the founder of soca music, and so she comes from just generations of beautiful music, and she has a very unique voice that has represented our genre very well. You have Patrice Roberts, you have Ricardo Drew, you have Peter Ram, you have so many great soca artists. You have Rupi that had that song Jump, which that's actually went mainstream and done very well in the mainstream industry over the years as well. So there's so many great soca music, and some songs you may have heard but don't realize that it's actually like classified into the soca genre as well. But those are some artists that I just figured I would write. And then obviously the biggest number one soca artist in the world is a gentleman named Machel Montano. He's been doing soca music for over 40 years. He just celebrated his 40th anniversary. He was the first soca artist to sell out the Barclays Center, which happened a few months ago. And that was a huge accomplishment for the industry, for the genre, for the community, for us to be able to go into a venue like the Barclays and actually sell it out. So that was a big accomplishment. And he has been making amazing music for so long. He's considered the king of soca music as well. So there's a few of the artists. We have over 70 or 80 artists and DJs on our ship alone. So you really get to experience really every single Caribbean island as far as their music in one place at one time with us.
Wow. Well, thank you. And for our radio audience, I'm going to play some of these songs after we conclude the interview, so you'll get an opportunity to listen to them. And also, Jodi, can you tell us or tell our audience how they can contact you, or what the website information is, so that people will be able to get in touch with you if they have questions or if they want to, book a cruise?
Sure. So you can go to ubersocacruise.com, and that's UBERSOCA cruise.com. And all the contact information is there. We also on Instagram and Facebook and SoundCloud and every other social media, TikTok. You're free to go follow us on all of those platforms as well. If you want to contact me directly, you're more than welcome to do so. My name is Jodi Covington. My company is actually called the Brand Development Group, and you're welcome to go and follow or reach out via those avenues as well. So it's the brand development group or an Instagram brand dev group. And I will also share my contact details, or you have my contact details if somebody wants to reach out as well.
Right. Don't you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do. We have YouTube, and you can go and see some of our videos. We have a lot of our recap videos from previous cruises. The one thing that I will say is a lot of our videos display a lot of the concerts and shows, but we have over 54 events. So we do singles meetups, we do financial workshops, we do natural hair link ups, and we have girls come and speak about skin and hair and beauty. We have couples nights, we have games, we have sporting events. So there's a lot. We're very well rounded as far as what you're doing on the cruise. But go check us out, and we're happy to talk about what we call the gospel of Ubersoca Cruise all day long. So if you do want to know information, or you do have any ideas or suggestions, please feel free to reach out. We're very open. Most of my passengers, although it's thousands of them, know how to contact me directly, because we just want to make sure that everybody stays connected. And like you said, we're one big family, the USC family.
Right. Wow, that's wonderful. Well, in closing, do you have any parting words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to leave with our audience? Anything you've learned in the past that you might be able to pass along or anything?
Sure. So these are things that I personally do and I personally live by, and I communicate to others. Some things that I've learned: I don't allow people to disturb my peace. And I always tell people that you no longer have permission to disturb my peace. And so my parting words is just like, live and stop allowing people to dictate, disturb your peace, mess up your day. You control that. And stay very focused on your goals and objectives, but really live life. And I think that's another reason why I fell in love with this genre of music, because it really communicates the joy of life. And sometimes we allow others to get in the way of that joy. But I always tell my friends, I told my girlfriend the other night, like, repeat after me: you no longer have permission to disturb my peace. And you take back your control of your peace and your joy and live life freely, because I know I do.
Wow. Well, that is wonderful. Those are wonderful parting words. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today on This Is It on Blacks at Radio, and wish you much success with the cruises. And I know it's going to be it just sounds wonderful. So we'll stay in touch with you after and see if we can get a little after information after the cruise is over.
Please. And I would love to invite you and your family to come on board and hang out. So if you do have some availability in April, you just let me know, and I'll make sure your cabin is taken care of. And I really appreciate your time.
So much. That's so kind of you.
Absolutely. You got to come and experience it. You're going to have a really, really great time.
Okay. Well, great. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I'll get this on Blacks at Radio, and then we'll put it up on YouTube, and we'll get some more people on the cruises, because it's something I had never heard of. I had heard of like Celebrity or someone. I mean, not Celebrity. What's that one that does Carnival? Carnival.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I think that they've done some cruises and some jazz cruises or whatever, but this is completely different.
Completely different
from any of those. So thank you for letting us know about it, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Appreciate
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.